everyone, today we're going to be checking out the new Sony 70-200 F2.8 Mark II. We're going to be taking this lens out in the field to see how it performs. Today I'm going to be using it on the Sony A7R4. I thought we'd do something a little bit different because normally I use the A7 III. So I think having this camera body with that extra resolution is really going to be able to help us see the quality of this lens. Today we're going to be doing some autofocus tests in both photo and video. I have a really beautiful studio shoot that I'm super excited to share with you guys. Then we'll be taking this lens out to see how it works with natural light, see the lens flare, chromatic aberration. We're also going to be taking it out to a lake to photograph some birds and try it out with the 2x teleconverter. So we have a lot to get through in today's video, so let's get started with some Iaf tests. These Iaf tests are on the A7R4. As usual, I'm using continuous focus with a wide focus point and Iaf on to make the camera and lens do all the work. This 70-200 has 4 XD linear motors, which you'll find in lenses such as the GM 35 1.4 and GM 135 1.8 that allow you to shoot up to 30 frames per second on the A1. I can confirm that the autofocus is extremely fast and accurate. I was super impressed by those shots where my hair is completely covering my face thanks to yet another windy day in Sydney, and it had no problems keeping Iaf on me the entire time. Also, I wanted to say that this video is not sponsored by Sony. I do want to say a big thank you to Sony Australia for lending me this lens pre-release, but all opinions in this video are my own. Sony don't ask me to say anything and they don't see the video before I post it. Next, I want to test out the autofocus in video, and for this test, I'm using the Sony A7S III. I found that it did a good job keeping focus on me even while I was moving towards and away from the lens. It focuses really quietly as well, so I can definitely see this lens being used by videographers. We also had Dan try to give the lens a hard time by running as fast as he could towards it, and I'm really impressed with how well it kept focus on him the entire time. I didn't notice any focus breathing, and it also does a good job keeping focus while zooming in and out. Okay, let's head to our photo shoot. I'm using the A7R4 for this shoot, so we'll have some really cool images to take a 100% crop look at. Today's model is Sonali, Lydia's on hair and makeup, and Dan is filming the behind the scenes of this entire video.
Alright, so this is like an extreme close-up. I think some smiling ones for this would be cool too, yeah. And should we also try, I think it'd be cool with a bit of the sleeve, like in your face as well.
Yeah. I'm using a simple one light setup with a large round softbox, and I brought in these cherry blossom branches to add some texture to the background and foreground.
And then if you want to lean both like your hands kind of on your face there. Oh, that's so nice.
One thing I noticed straight away and appreciated while shooting is how light this lens feels. It weighs 1,045 grams, making it the lightest 70-200 f2.8 lens in the world at the moment. And it is 435 grams lighter than the Mark I version. It felt really balanced on all the camera bodies I used it on, including the A7R4, A7 III, and A7S III.
Yeah, I like exactly what you did just there, it was cool.
As usual with GM glass, this 70-200 is tack sharp. It's such a stunning portrait lens, especially paired with the A7R4. You can see so much detail, but in my opinion, it doesn't look clinical. It renders really nicely for skin and portraits, and I know Sonali has flawless skin, but I do have some portraits of myself on this lens in natural light coming a little later in this video where we'll be able to see the same thing.
I'm gonna get some shots just in landscape. The backdrop is very small, but I think I can make that work. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's so pretty with your hand like that. And then do you want to also try like kind of like this too?
I found that the sharpness continued throughout all the focal lengths I tried out during our photo shoot. All the way from 70 to 200mm, I had beautifully razor-sharp images even while I was shooting wide open at f2.8.
And then I think we should do some standing ones because like we've got a lot of movement in the dress that we can use. And then should we also try like a side-on, like almost back shot? Yeah. With the branches like kind of more surrounding you, maybe you stand there and I'll bring the branches to you. I might actually bring it up so it's like more above your head. Yeah, so I'm gonna crop just above your knees.
Even though I'm a prime lens shooter, this lens was a little tempting for me while I was using it. I feel like the quality of the images is really similar to the GM 135 f1.8, which is such a beautiful lens. While I use the 135 for portraits sometimes, the main use of that lens for me is for extra reach when doing wedding photography. Since I prefer shooting with natural light, fast lenses are a must for me. So I would personally always choose to shoot on an f1.4 or f1.8 prime lens. However, if you're a photographer who prefers zooms and often uses the 24-70 and 70-200 combo, this could be a really good option to go for faster autofocus speeds, better accuracy, beautiful image quality, and if you're upgrading from your Mark I, you will be able to shave off almost half a kilo from your kit.
I love that with your arm down. That looks so good.
At the end of our shoot, Lydia put some gloss on Sonali's eyelids and I decided to try taking some extreme close-up photos. I was using the 200mm N to get maximum compression on these close-ups. The Mark II has a minimum focusing distance of 40 centimeters compared to the Mark I, which is 96 centimeters. Again, paired with the A7R4, I love how much you can zoom in and how much detail you can see all the way to her iris. The 70-200 Mark II is a weather-sealed lens. There is a focus and zoom ring in the same place as the Mark I, and what I'm really happy to see is the addition of an aperture ring. It also has an aperture click switch, and as you could see throughout my photo shoot, this lens has internal zoom. The lens hood also has a filter port to access or rotate your variable filters. We have an AF to MF switch, a DMF switch, a focus range limiter switch, OSS, as well as OSS mode, where you can switch between 3 stabilization modes, and finally an iris lock switch. It also has 3 customizable buttons that are all linked together and a detachable tripod collar. We are back outdoors now, and Dan and I are going to take some portraits of each other out in natural light so we can see the bokeh, see if there's any chromatic aberration, lens flares, all that kind of stuff.
Let me just crouch here, it looks safer. You might need to get a bit closer.
70-200.
I'm a prime lens shooter.
I really like what this lens looks like for outdoor portrait shoots. Even at f2.8, you have some really nice background to foreground separation, and if you want to check out some of these photos for yourself, I'll have a sample gallery available for you to download on my blog. I'll leave a link for that in the description.
Maybe cross your arms for the full body shot there. Yeah, that looks good. I like the little stump behind you.
The bokeh is really stunning. Here's some portraits I took of Dan at most of the focal lengths throughout this 70-200 at f2.8 with a close-up look at the background. I didn't notice any chromatic aberration in the direct backlit photos we were taking just before the sun disappeared, and here's a collection of some of the lens flares we caught. This was with the lens hood on and the lens pointing directly at the sun. I like the washed out creamy colored lens flare at the top of the frame, and then the 2 green orbs are okay. This lens flare is really easily avoidable as well if you just move a little to the left or right, as you can see in the next few photos that we're taking.
I definitely want to try out a little bit of wildlife photography with this lens as well. So we've come down to the lake and I'm going to take some photos of the birds. We're going to do some shots with the lens as is, and since it is compatible, I also have my 2x teleconverter as well. So we'll try out some shots with that as well and see how it works.
You can see the focus range limiter really doing its thing here. The lens kept focus on the bird really well throughout the reads. This is also on the A7R4, which doesn't have bird AF like the A1, so I was using a small flexible focus point. The detail in these shots are great. Also, I can't get over how beautiful and silky water looks on a telephoto lens. The lens kept focusing well with the 2x teleconverter, however, I did notice some loss in sharpness because of the teleconverter, which is normal. Since I was on the A7R4, I didn't want to bump up the ISO too high, so there were some photos with motion blur on the subject from shooting at 1/200 on such a long focal length. But here are some of the photos that I took, and also here are some bonus photos without the 2x converter of some kangaroos that I came across. I really hope you guys enjoyed my review of this lens. Let me know what you thought of the lens and the photos and everything we did today in the comments, because I love hearing back from you guys. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I make new videos every single week, so I will see you all next time. Bye!